Is that you, Matt? Who said that?
Yeah, that's me. Somehow I had it and it's jumped in all the little squares.
Well, do we know, do we have, oop, where'd we go? There we, okay, you put that in. COVID up to the, there you go, the agenda. Do we know if we have any other people on, Ron? Can you see, or any other public comments or anything?
Yeah, we
Just-
had Kim was in, and we had nobody else joining. So we had, it looked like
Okay.
somebody, the GMATV is here. They're doing the
Yeah,
live.
right. Okay.
That's it.
Okay, no problem. Kim, do you have anything in particular, or are you just keeping an eye on us? We got to get the warning right, correct?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, so I'm just here because you have a meeting and I'm here.
Right. Right. Well, and make sure that we got everything we need on the warning. Let's see. The first one, since we're all talking about COVID, is we just need to, with as our road crew is working its way one by one through COVID, about employee leave time when they've been following the COVID precautions. And I guess simply the issue is do we, are we going to require them to use ETO or not, and we pay them? And I'm Brian, what do you think? You're our liaison there.
Yeah, my feeling is if they're protecting the remaining part of their crew, I think it's a good idea to make sure that we pay them to stay apart, so we have a crew, so we don't lose everybody. Been real fortunate, as Mark mentioned, that it's been sporadic throughout the crew, so it hasn't disabled the crew from going out and doing their work and keeping the road cleared.
Yeah, I agree. They've been, and fortunately there haven't been any gigantic storms while this was happening. So we're getting through it. Rolly, Dave, what do you think?
I agree with Brian. The only thing I don't think, if they haven't been vaccinated, I think they should use their own time. But if they've been vaccinated, I think that the town wouldn't have no problem paying for them, but that's just my opinion. I don't know if everybody's been vaccinated, but if they have, fine. But if they haven't, we ought to really look at that, because I know a lot of businesses are paying their people, but if they haven't been vaccinated, they're not paying them. They're making them use their ETO time or personal time or whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And Jason is not vaccinated.
Jason's not?
Jason was not vaccinated.
Well, that's just my opinion. It's up to everybody else what they want to do too.
I agree with you, Rolly.
And I'll put my vote in for you, Sue, and Rolly.
Yeah. And we're agreeing with
You don't take
Brian. So,
initiative.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a small way for businesses. I don't know whether it's the town or businesses to acknowledge folks taking that step of not just protecting themselves, but protecting other people as well. And it's a little form of a thank you, I think.
But I don't know if that's legal or not, but I know a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, Roland. There's a certain amount of privacy rights and procedures and just things that don't want to cross other
Could be religious.
statutory thresholds on this kind of thing. So if you want to go to that kind of a town policy, I would just condition it on the town attorney review.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do that. And I'm sure we could add something like to be eligible to be paid for that time, you need to show your proof of vaccination.
Okay.
Then that's, if somebody doesn't show it, then they either don't want to collect it or they are not vaccinated. And that, I think, is a kind of a sidesteppy around the privacy thing.
So
Yeah,
quick question, would that be for all departments or just the highway?
I think it should be for everybody.
Okay,
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you can segregate.
Yeah, I don't think you can differentiate. Yeah, everybody's a town employee.
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, good. Always good to make sure about those things. Okay, do we need to vote on that, Ron, or is that the?
No, you'll vote on
You
a
got it.
policy if the town
Yeah,
attorney.
that's what I thought.
recommends.
Okay, super. Highway mileage report.
Really simple, just need a motion to approve the 2021 highway mileage report with no changes in 21. We got close on Beam Road, but that blew up into a little bit more. So hopefully it'll be a 22 change, but all you have to do is testify that there were no changes. You can authorize Susan to sign the form, or 3 or more of you can sign. I think Kim and I were talking about getting 3 or more board members to sign the warning tomorrow by stopping by the town office as you can. So the mileage certificate, the warning,
It'll be right there. Yep.
and a bond resolution are hanging out there. So if we can get 3 or more on all 3 of those documents, that'd be perfect.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
And
Okay, I'll
just so
make-
that you know, tomorrow, if you're gonna come in to do that, the earlier the better. I have to have everything posted before the end of the day tomorrow,
Okay,
just so that I don't have to come in on Sunday to do it.
Sunday's a real deadline. Yeah, right.
oh, well, we really don't have to
Okay.
go until Saturday, Kim.
Okay, to get.
Let's
get
see.
back
Okay,
to
I'll
the
try to do it
article,
early in the mid-morning.
Okay, to get back to the article on hand here, I'll make a motion that we accept the highway mileage report as written for 2021.
Okay, we got a
Second.
second? Yeah, okay. Need any more
Second.
discussion?
Nope.
We're good. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay. Now, the warning. Got that? If people printed it out, do people have it?
Mhm.
Here's your screenshot.
I have a question about the warning.
Sure.
Am I muted? Okay,
No, good.
Article 3.
Article 3, okay.
And it's about the select board contracting to employ somebody to do the listing and stuff, lister. I'm still kind of vague on where we left off on that. I know back in, I think it was our May 3rd meeting. Is it what we talked about with the town assessor position? It was something we discussed about hiring somebody until the end of the fiscal year to get the work done, but I don't remember having any other discussion about that.
We discussed if we didn't have listers, we didn't really have a choice. And right now we don't have any listers and no one's running for it. Which sort of leaves us no option.
What happened with the search? I know we talked about putting out an ad or something like that, or doing something. I'm just wondering where we went with that. I'm just looking for a refresher so I know where we're at with it.
I know we've put out a number of things looking and saying that we're looking for listers. We had a list of 2 or 3 people that we wanted to see if we could convince they should do it. And I had long, heartfelt conversations with them. And you'll notice we still don't have any listers. So I don't, Ron, what else did we do? We must,
Well, it's an annual elected position. So every year there's elected positions that come up, in the last, I guess it's almost the third year in a row where we haven't had people running to fill
Right.
the spots. And the petition deadline or the nomination deadline was earlier this week, and nobody submitted a petition. So Matt's term, if you will, is running out. And then we'll have nobody. So last year, to fill the void, because there wasn't a quorum of a board of listers, we signed a contract with NEMRIC, which is an annual contract. And they do all the services for, it looks like about the same price or a little less overall that we were paying with a appointed board of listers or elected board of listers. The contracted professional assessor is the alternate under state law. So if you don't have a board of listers, you have to hire a contracted professional assessor. And the cost of that service is about, we're not changing the budget because of the change. We're budgeting 11,000. And that's pretty much what we had in the budget with the elected listers. So it's really, it's almost a societal thing with some of these municipal positions, people just not wanting to keep up with the training and the education and the schedule and the demands for really what's a part-time job. So that is going to be a problem across a lot of different town positions. And this is just the beginning of it, I think, where some of the historical town services that were done by pretty much volunteer residents, you know, for whatever reason, mostly time constraints and education and training constraints, we don't have the bodies anymore. And the only option is contracted services. And the state law actually matches that. They said, if you can't make it work with the residents on a lister basis through the election, the select board has no choice but to hire a contracted person to do it, because we're bound by the state law to report a grand list for the state school taxes and everything else.
Yeah, and I'm glad it doesn't affect the budget, like you said. I like that.
Yeah, so, and then we're watching that. This is our first year, Brian. So, you know, we'll have to watch that. But right now it's about 11,000 or less per year to do the same, you know, product, if you will, our statutory requirements, I guess is what you would call it.
I do have hey, Ron, I had a question on that. If my term is up, am I still going to be considered or whatever an assessor as an alternate?
Yeah, I think right.
Whoever?
Yeah, you're holding sort of two titles now. You're still elected, and if the voters dissolve the board of listers or eliminate, I forgot to eliminate, I think in the article, then you are immediately replaced by the contracted person. The statute allows like a little transition if we don't have a contracted list assessor, 45 days or something like that. But because we already have one, you would end on town meeting day with the passing of Article 3. The select board appointed you separately to assistant to the town assessor. That will continue if you want to continue there.
Okay. I was just curious on how that
Yep.
worked out.
Yeah, it's like a dual role for now, and then you'll lose one of them if the Article 3 passes.
Okay.
This is one of those, I think it's a great example of when you're not in person. So I can see people reading this and going, I guess my question ultimately is going to be, how do we get enough information to people? Well, why don't we just stick with the listers? Well, the fact that for 3 years we haven't, and people aren't running for lister and nobody wants the job and we have to have them. Is there, how do we get that information to people, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's the mailbox or the post office box. There's a lot.
Yeah, so we just do the separate write-up and mailing to everybody?
I think we have to. I mean, it seems fair to give people that either don't have internet, don't check it all the time, or whatever reason, to at least get a piece of paper in the mail from the select board saying, hey, how y'all doing? This is what's happening. We know we're not meeting, but here's the information we have for you.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I want to thank Matt for the work he did, stepping up to the plate too. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
I'll stay on as an appointed assessor, because obviously Cassandra needs my help sometimes because I know the town better. So that's fine. I just didn't know how it was all going to fit in there, because I was going to do a justice of the peace thing, but I did not want to screw up, you
No,
know,
it
whatever
won't,
is happening.
it won't conflict with it at all, no.
Well, right, because I didn't know if I could, because on the Justice of the Peace Board, you'd have to, you have to vote on things. So maybe I'll do it next year for the fall. So
Yeah,
Okay. Well, and you can always, as a JP or with certain things, it's like on the select board or anything, if there's a conflict, you can just recuse yourself from the vote too.
oh, just a
Okay.
little bit more on that, just real quick.
Yep.
What we did, Ron and I have been working, and we also been looking at other contract options occasionally and different inputs to either keep the price down or maybe get better service or whatever we got to do. We're definitely always up on what to get the best product for the town.
Okay.
So we are in communication a lot of times about it.
Okay, thank you. Ron, what about Article 4?
yes, so $75,000 of general fund balance for the highway reserve. This pretty much directly relates to the email that I sent to the board last night, where we listed all of those capital projects that are pending and in motion and needing match or needing some engineering services or whatever to keep those going. We don't typically keep capital project funding as an operating line because we're running those pretty much through the capital reserve. So if we end up with a big Church Street and Main project, for example, where we're going to rip up all the sidewalks and put crosswalks in and do stormwater, a lot of that will be funded by transfers from the reserves, and you won't see it in the operating budget. So if we can get that amount of money into the reserve, it helps with those projects as well as equipment purchases and other things that you want to do that are in motion but aren't defined yet. I think that's the
Yeah.
part that's hard to explain there. We don't exactly know when we're going to need the money, but we know we're going to need the money. In order to get 80% grant, we need 20% from town resources.
Yep.
But we don't have that in the operating budget. We have it in the reserve budget. So the health of the reserve budgets is really critical to all of your plans for capital projects. And I think that's what the 75,000 is for.
Yeah, that'll be a fun little write-up.
Well, I could really just repeat that email showing people where we're at with
Yeah.
a whole bunch of different
Well,
projects.
yeah, actually you can, yeah, it's sort of eye-opening. Okay, Article 5.
I see, Ron, I see you got $1,000 and the price that HA quoted us was 250,000. Are you allowing $25,000 for permitting?
Yeah, so part of the article is for the purchase plus permitting and evaluating the site.
Right.
So it's all inclusive of the soil borings and other permit Act 250 permitting if you get to that point, so that we can get that project developed. It's not just the purchase of the land, it's for getting to the point of deciding whether or not it's a good investment for the town.
I think it's important too, that when we put that letter out to the general public, that we make sure that they understand the scarcity of the gravel and what it projects for the future for all of us. I'm sure that's going to be part of it anyways, but I just want to make sure it was said.
Yeah, that's the soil borings part, right? Exactly.
And that's going to be the bad part about this virtual meeting, that there's not going to be that time where somebody can jump up in the audience and say, what the hell do we need it for? And time to explain why. People just gonna read this and.
I know. I think that's true. There's a lot of people that will get a lot of people won't get the town report or won't get the mailing or pay attention to it, but they'll get the ballot and they'll read that one article and they're going to make sort of a snap decision. And there's no time to discuss it. You're right.
We could maybe one of the if we do the mailing, we know we tried last year and we'll do it again this year. We'll try a couple of informational meetings about it. But I'll bet you we can get Roland to let us have a little radio time to talk too.
Yeah, that might,
Okay,
make a nice broad spread of the information somehow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Maybe before the mailing goes out, somebody can go on and do an interview about the mailing and then say, watch for the mailing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll put that as, and we figure out the time frame on that. I'm when it gets close, let me know. I'm happy to give Roland a call and chat with him.
okay, now we're on 5. When we left the select board meeting the last time, Ron, weren't you going to get a hold of somebody to go up there and do some boring there and the pit?
Yeah, Green Mountain Engineering was asked to schedule soil borings for both the existing pit and the 25 acres. Those, I don't know if they'll be ready, but we'll try to get those done in February. But it's going to be odd to try to get that information out to voters before town meeting day.
But it seemed to me it would be more practical to tell people there's 80 feet of good gravel there rather than tell them we really don't know what's under the ground.
Yeah, we had that discussion at the last meeting about when do you do soil borings and when do you buy the land? I remember that the last meeting. Do you buy the land and then wait for the soil borings, or do you do the soil borings and then try to buy the land? I don't.
Hey, Dave, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they've got an excavator down there. You can dig long ways down now with an excavator. You can do some quick boring like that too.
Well, that's an idea. But
Oh, yeah. Done it
I
many
think-
times.
Yeah,
but
while,
but until we get that board, does that article read that the taxpayers will allow? How do I want to say that? Does it give us permission to buy it, or just give us the idea to look into the aspects of buying it?
It's only borrowing approval.
Say it
Yeah,
again,
we-
Ron?
It's borrowing approval to buy the land. You still have to make a decision to do it, though. The select board would hold, the final say on actually doing it. You're just getting voter approval to borrow.
and
Okay, so at day, the bottom line on the budget's got to be if Article 5, if we approve Article 5 to buy it, and we won't know what Article 5 is until after we do the bore sample, do we know if we want to buy it or not? So how are you going to set your budget?
Yeah, so Article 5 borrowing would result in a 2024 budget increase if you bought the land. So this gives the voters a chance to participate in your decision whether to actually do it or not.
right,
So if
So it won't affect next year, 22, 23, 24.
yeah,
correct.
But you still
right.
got-
So you have about a year to figure it out if you actually want to, up to a year probably. It depends on how long Monash wants to hold that open for sale.
Yeah, but what I think I'm trying to say, Ron, is they're voting on to spend that money.
To
Right?
give you,
And
it
so-
gives
No,
you the
right.
option to spend that money.
But in the years past, at the end of the meeting, we'll say if all the articles pass, your tax rate will be yada, yada. Well, isn't this the way that's word, this may or may not go through?
Yeah,
So when
right, right.
when-
Right. This is not a commitment to buy. They're not saying to buy absolutely. This is totally a bonding and borrowing question to give you the option to do that. And evaluating the site has nothing, you can always pull the plug on this if the voters find out there's no gravel or you change your mind on it, or they have no particular use for any municipal development. You can still pull the plug on this. And that's the tricky part with Monash. Monash may say, Oh, that's good. You got borrowing approval. Now what about a purchase and sale agreement? The purchase and sale agreement is going to say Town of Hyde Park Select Board needs 6 months to meet with the voters to decide if we're going to buy it.
Right.
So that's
Okay,
that part isn't done yet.
so it doesn't affect the 22-23 budget.
No, not at all. I think even if you did a really quick purchase, it would probably be $3,000 or $4,000 of interest, maybe. If you took the money out right away, but I don't see the money coming right away, because you want to do your due diligence and get some of these questions answered and have some public input.
Okay, so this does not lock us into buying it.
Correct,
No, does this, or does
Correct.
it lock us into not buying it?
correct. It's just, since we're at town meeting and obviously it's a chunk of money, we need permission. If we decide it's a good idea, we need to already have the permission to move forward. If we didn't, we'd have to do special town meetings and all those sorts of things.
Got it, thanks.
Okay, use appropriate. Then the rest of it is just, here's the. Oof. Six and seven are just, here's what the numbers are, and here are the installments.
Are we gonna go over the numbers a little bit on the changes, Ron?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do
Okay.
that next. We're gonna get through the article first.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure
Yep.
that we were gonna talk. I had a few questions.
You kidding? We saved the fun part till last.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
so we-
like I said,
Yeah.
our Article 7 is the same as usual, except for the dates, and Article 6 could change if you guys look at the budget and you want to change anything, but we'll do that
Right.
next.
Okay,
I guess I got one question, Susan.
sure.
We did talk about an extra man for the highway department. Where is that gonna,
It's not
Come
any
in.
place.
uh-huh,
It's not any place in the budget.
okay,
I
Is
mean, we
that
just,
gonna-
we haven't got it.
okay.
They got an excavator.
I know it. We said once we got the excavator in another year, we would talk about an extra man for them
Yeah,
guys.
I think that was that next October, maybe this
Next
coming October.
This coming up, no, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
wanted to make sure we still all remember that.
Oh, yeah. No, we remember it. And it's like, right.
Yeah, I think that's how we left it. If they get used to the excavator and they get 25% more work done, then it gets harder to maybe add another person if they get that much more efficient.
Right. Time will tell. But that's a good reminder, Rolly. Okay, now the fun part, the money.
So do you want to go over the tax rate projection just to start at the end, and then we can go back to the,
Yeah. So let's get the bad news out of the way first.
so there's a couple assumptions made, and Matt is part of this process where we're projecting a 2.0% increase in the grand list, which I think is pretty good, but again, that's to be determined. The final grand list isn't published till June. And then we bring that into the tax rate. So this is just an estimated 2.0 increase for 2021. Using that number, we can run that through the budget requirements and get to a 4.97% tax rate increase, which is about $41 a year more for every $100,000 of assessed value. So at $200,000 home, you'll be paying $82 more a year, or about $20 a quarter for your tax bill. And that's just municipal. School's going to be whatever it is when they get done messing with the school, and state school rates and state funding and all that other business. The other thing that's affecting the rates obviously is the income sensitivity. So a lot of people that have, I think incomes under 150 household or something will get aid, 170 will get aid from the state to help pay, which is its own political decision on that one, but we don't get into that. We just focus on the municipal side. And just for reference, last year's tax rate increase was 4.27, and we're looking at about four pennies, I guess, for that increase that we're looking at. And if you look at the dollar amount increase, just for your reference, as you're looking at the budget, $160,000 more in tax revenue equals the almost 5% tax rate increase. So maybe every 35,000 or so dollars is a percent on the tax rate. So if you wanted to start reducing that 4.97 and confine $35,000 to cut, or 35,000 revenue, you could get down to 3.97. That's kind of what you're doing when you look at all these line items that we'll do next. Is if you can find some savings or we can't find any new revenue. We have a pretty static revenue source, which is a few state grants plus property taxes. We don't have a lot of the other sources of revenue that a lot of bigger municipalities have. So we're pretty much all about expenses and the grand list growth. If you want to look at revenues, just really quickly, I can show you there's a correction, sort of a big correction in state payments withheld. That was combined, that line, the reason why it's $15,000 less, it was combined with a state grant for reappraisal last year. And it shouldn't have been for budgeting purposes, because that reappraisal grant we get for about 15,000 really should have gone right to the reappraisal reserve fund for next reappraisal.
Next reappraisal.
It's not revenue that we can count on to reduce the tax rate. It will reduce the bill on the reappraisal, but it doesn't reduce the bill on the annual tax rate. So that's why it's a negative. Pretty much static through the rest of it. Town clerk recording fees are doing pretty well. We boosted that up to 34,000. And then state highway aid is pretty close to the actual number, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 less, because we're not always confident on that, but we're projecting 138,000 next year. And then pretty much everything's flatlined. The library had a sort of a big increase in expenses, and I asked the trustees if they were going to increase contribution from them from 12 to something higher, and they said no. So that's a flat line, 12,000. And that 12,000 actually that comes into the town goes right back to the library reserve. So it's a net zero 12,000. And you'll see that if I want to scoot right down to the library reserve at the very end of the budget, you'll see that we have library reserve down here at 12,000. So even though it looks good on the front side is 12,000 revenue, it's going right back out on the expense side. Again, it has no reduction of the tax rate. So I don't know if people had chances to go through the general government and highway and fire and library budgets. We can either go line by line, or you can raise any questions now that you want a little more information on. We do have a 4% wage increase for everybody except for highway union employees.
Right.
Their union contract sets their increase at 3%.
Ron, I see in the state legislature, they're going through possibly doing some extra tax on heating fuel. And I didn't know how that was going to affect the fire departments and the town garage and, you know, the other municipal buildings, because it could possibly add 20% to heating fuel costs to Vermonters.
That'll never pass.
I've seen a lot of stuff pass. I have to work with Act 250 every day. So
every time they keep going, I can't tell you how many years they go near heating fuel, and it's like, wait a minute, you can't, people don't have options.
No,
Well,
I understand.
But you're
it was
right, that's the
something
sort
that
of
ran-
thing, that's the sort of thing, if it happens during the year, it's just like the cost of everything this year, the way
Yeah.
it's all gone up. You just
I
have to,
can,
you
I
have to
can,
find it in your
yeah, no,
budget.
that's true. Things you can't predict, right? So we've got 4 buildings that we heat. One is the highway garage, which so far has been lucky to operate on used motor oil.
Mhm.
So we have no heating fuel cost there. I think it's under $1,000 a year when they run low on the used oil. The town office is run on electric due to our lease agreement with the village of Hyde Park. The library is I think it's a combo of electric, maybe heating oil, and I think the fire department itself is heating oil. So there are 2 buildings that are on number 2 fuel oil. So those potentially could be impacted by that. The other 2 won't be, as far as like, if everything stays normal.
And I had something else that I had a question on. I didn't see on here, maybe I missed it. But this new high-speed internet thing, are they gonna be looking for anything from the town for that high-speed internet that's coming through?
Susan and I had a really quick discussion about that today because, being a regional entity, which is Lamoille Fiber CUD, they have not proposed, other than a soft plea from some of their board members, that the town should use some of the ARPA money,
Right.
which every town got this year, but not operating budget money. So we haven't added anything to the operating town budget for fiber except for the town office, which we're upgrading now. And there's nothing for the regional entity there. And the select board hasn't really been pushed too hard to give up some of the ARPA money for broadband. We thought they were going to push a little harder, but it's been like hey, by the way, don't forget you guys have ARPA money and you should give some to the regional entity. But we haven't had a letter or a presentation or anything like that to make a case for it. Again, for anybody that's not familiar with ARPA, we have $740,000 of federal ARPA recovery money that the select board has to decide how to spend over the next 4 years.
Yeah. And we've just barely gotten the feds have put out sort of their final guidelines because that stuff was changing so much. There were a few things. The project in North Hyde Park, looking at the upgrading the ventilation systems in the places that we need to do that will clearly qualify for that federal money. The rest of it, it's the good thing you don't have to make a rapid decision. And I think that's sort of one of the things we can start to look at next year. And we've asked for input, but now that I think with sort of some final guidance, we can start coming up and talking with the town about what are some possible uses of that money. Again, appreciating that it's one-time money. I would certainly think potentially having some go into high-speed internet is important, but we just sort of, okay, and we'll get some idea what other communities are doing too, because it's always the feds hear the general guidelines and see people go out and they start spending the money, and then something will happen. They'll say, oh no, you have to give the money back. So I don't want us to be in that position either. So.
I think some of that ARPA money is also a good benefit to buffer against this kind of future thing happening again. But we also have to buffer against, of course, the internet could all crash.
Right.
So-
And again, the buffers, we got to figure out how to spend it.
Yeah.
You can't save it. You have to.
Yeah,
spend
no, I
it.
understand. It's
Right.
just, it's all to buffer against, it's just like FEMA money to prevent,
Yeah.
a shutdown.
Yeah. Or when you're shut down, how are things more accessible? How can how do you make it safer?
So Susan, I just got a text from the Green Mountain Access TV people that Zoom had a New England outage on their phone lines tonight. So it wasn't just our system, it was
Okay, it wasn't us. Okay,
it was a system-wide problem that Kim was having issues with trying to use
okay,
LAMP.
okay.
Just to let you know, it wasn't our new Zoom, it was a unusual occurrence.
That's what they always say. Let's see. What are other questions that folks have? I'd say I'd throw in now because Ron and I and Deborah going over this again and again. It's we know, like the FEMA money still isn't in right now. I sort of feel. I asked Ron in creating this budget that sort of here's the maximum it would go up is the 4.9. Depending on, again, if the FEMA money comes in, some other things happen, we could reduce some debt. We can, as I say, I think we just need to get through this, and then 23 will really be an opportunity with the budget to get us back to that we don't have that much in the way of borrowing, that we're getting our reserves built up nice and and healthy, that we're being able to put the long-term goal when I came on the board that Dave and Roley have been pushing, and we're slowly but surely making progress on, is to get far enough ahead on our roads that we aren't just playing catch up every year, that we're actually getting in good foundations and the roads are being taken care of, and we take care of them every year. So it's not running from crisis stretch of road to crisis stretch of road. And we're making some, I think we're making some really good progress on that. But of course, every year, if you keep putting the same amount of money into paving, you pave less and less because everything costs so much more. But again, I think really we're in there's some things that are kind of unknown again whenever that FEMA money ever comes in. I think I'm going to be 100 years from now, I'm going to say when that FEMA money comes in, but we can figure out exactly what we need to do with that. And do we pay off the excavator? Do we, what do we do? So there'll be some, I think there'll be some excellent opportunities coming up once we get past town meeting and as money comes in to keep Hyde Park in a good financial position, because I think we really are in a good position right now. Because there's a lot of equipment coming up with the road crew that those are big price tags these days.
I have one more. It's a multiple line item. Did the casualty and property insurance go down, Ron, across the board from VLCT?
We're dealing with a big adjustment with property and casualty and workers' comp. For some reason, they reformulated the costs, and we had to book some more expenses in highway. Other departments went down. So we try to spread those costs across each department. And I just barely received a newsletter from VLCT saying that they had the best banner year for discounts and reimbursements to the members. So our VLCT is a group policy of all Vermont towns.
Okay.
And they were touting the benefits of the group policy because they're able to give back money from year to year. And they had a good year last year. So the projected rates are reduced next year. And then we did do some adjustments across departments where highway saw a bigger hit than other departments just because they reallocated the risk. And highway got hit a little bit more, I guess you want to call it that.
Okay.
I got a question on the budget.
Sure.
And I think maybe you guys ought to consider putting the fast squad back into the fire department. And the reason I say that is because they can't hold members for one thing. And the only member that ever shows up is Brad Courier. And Brad being the fire chief, it's going to be on the fire anyways. And if you start looking at the training and the stipend and the 2 AED units per year, which the fire department's got, and radios that they people out there carrying radios that never go to a call. And I'm not saying give up the fast squad. I'm just saying put it back under the umbrella of the fire department. I think you could save yourself a few $1,000s a year there. Another question I have under the fast squad and emergency management is the one's been thorn my side for years is a E911 signs. In 29, because they were going to do this program, they were going to finish them 2020. Then the fire department got mad when that little scuttlebutt there, they didn't do them. And so they're going to do them all in 2021 by saying the last Thursday of the month, all they're going to do is put up signs for their meetings. Well, that didn't happen because of different things and part of it COVID and stuff. So even we must have a goddamn big pile of signs they ain't been put up for 3 years, or we've got $7,000 or $8,000 in the budget that we haven't spent yet because we budget $3,000 a year for signs that they haven't put up. So what a lot of money.
I can, let's see. I don't remember what the conversation was, but I remember that we had this conversation with Brad when he came in.
I just
Ron
know that
Rowley?
they hit my road and all the other roads around here. I think it was in the fall. They came through and did this whole area one night.
Okay,
About, it was like 8:30 at 9 o'clock at night. They were out setting signs in the whole North Hyde Park area, which the last
Okay.
conversation I remember of Brad is that's when they were supposed to get to it, was in the fall, and they did.
Well, they didn't this year. Because at
Yeah,
the
they
last
did.
meeting,
No.
Brad told us it did
Yeah,
not. Because they told us they didn't get to it because of the COVID.
huh, well, they did them, I mean, less than, I don't know, I can look for an email to Ron, but yeah, they just did them up here in this area.
Dave, I think Brad was talking about getting down Centerville Road towards Tenny Hill and heading down towards Noise Farm Road, and then not being able to get there on their schedule. The path they've been taking over the years anyway, they started out near the village and then went up Battle Row and Cricket Hill and
right.
up that west side of town. Then they did North Hyde Park last year, which is where Matt lives. And now they're starting to come down Center Road to Garfield. I think the problem that you're seeing is when we first started the program, the select board said no more than 3,000 a year. Of course, that was 6-7 years ago now. It's been a while. And 6-7 years ago, we were able to buy, X number of signs and posts for everybody. Now we have to deal with about half that number because the cost increased in steel. So they've really slowed down what they originally projected. And now we're stuck with not wanting to increase the 3,000. So it's slowing down the project.
I was gonna say, right, yeah, Ron, your battery's running low.
Yeah, so Dave, they did this area, it was like the night before Halloween. They
Wow.
did
Oh,
North
okay.
Hyde Park in that area.
Yeah, but get back to my original thing. Is I think you putting the fast squad back into the fire department where it originally was to begin with. And Rolla, you must have some comments on that because you were there when that happened.
Yeah, they did look into it, Dave, and it was, I don't know if they went to the lawyer or not, but somebody, I can't remember, that was quite a while ago, said do not put the two together, have it its own entity. And I can't remember why. I mean, that was 10 years ago, 12, 15, 20 years ago. So, but I do remember there was some big talk about that. And they didn't want to put it into the fire department because of,
I can't remember what it was, to be honest with you, but I think maybe Ron should look into that with a lawyer and.
Well, yeah, it sounds like something we ought to, I'd say,
Yeah.
first of all, probably talk to Brad about.
Yeah, I'll talk to Brad, let Brad know
Yeah.
and see how he feels about it, but I can't remember what the legal part was. And there was something that they didn't want to put it in. I don't remember.
Okay. No, I know that's a good suggestion, Dave. We'll check it out, because you're right. That's been as hard and valiantly as they've tried, they just aren't being able to keep folks. Well, it's going back to the Lister routine, you're not the fire department itself. It's getting more and more difficult to find folks to do these sorts of jobs in communities.
Yeah, and again, just make it known, and I'm not saying that we ought to give up that fast route, because somebody ought to get there as fast as they can, but I'm just saying
Right,
that
right.
they could go underneath one thing and cut out some radios.
Yeah. Okay, we'll start checking it out.
Okay.
Brian, got any thoughts, suggestions?
I don't know, just look at.
No, I've been entertaining myself, looking and see what I've got here while everybody's talking. And I don't see anything that we haven't already discussed.
It's like $10,000 just for radios in that fire department.
Yeah.
I mean, truck maintenance, oil changes and stuff. I used to do all that when I was in the fire department. And now you got a $10,000 bill at the end of the year for just doing that stuff. I mean, you could take when they ain't busy and get a lot of that oil change down garage, but there takes an extra man.
Yeah, do we, it's just fire department, do we need to do, wait a minute, shall go just, no, there it was, okay, I went right past it, forget it.
Well,
I heard you.
the only note I have when you're talking about fire departments is we have two decent volunteer fire departments with probably 30 something, 35 committed residents in the neighborhood. They're not all Hyde Park, but between the two departments, Eden and Wolcott and Hyde Park, and providing all our fire coverage. And the cost of both departments to the town taxpayers is about the cost for one full-time professional firefighter.
Yeah.
So that's just some perspective that, you really do have a really good situation with both departments right now at about 140,000 a year. Just saying.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay, anything else? I guess. Here's my public information. I guess we need to, unless we got some changes, approve the budget and move it.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, anybody, any more? I guess all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining?
Who made the motion on that? I missed that.
Ryan.
I did, Brian.
And Roland seconded.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. When should, okay, we'll get, hopefully 3 of us can get down there tomorrow morning to, you can just leave a stack of papers for us and we'll sign all the
Yeah,
things.
just Yep, just inside my office door, there's the warning that needs to be signed. There's the mileage certificate that needs to be signed. And the other one that we have to talk about is the bonding resolution. So we'll need a vote on that next when that comes up
Right.
tonight. But
Okay.
there's 3 documents that 3 or more people should sign tomorrow. If you can
I'll
get
try,
down
I'll
there.
try to be down there by 9.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey,
What
Rolly,
next? What? Yep.
Rolly,
Go ahead.
can you make it down there?
I don't think that's gonna happen, Dave. You know why?
No, but
Um,
I mean, I'm.
Probably
quarantined here.
Chastity.
I
We'll
can't
get a hold
get
of
in.
Chastity. Chastity could probably do it.
Okay, cause I'll still be Saturday.
Yeah,
Well,
right, right.
Brian can get there, Susan can get there, and we'll get a hold of Chastity. Somebody will, Susan or
Okay.
I know what I gotta do tomorrow.
Ron,
Yeah.
can Chastity sign if she's not been at the meeting to vote for any of this stuff?
Oh, that's right.
That's a,
Yeah,
that's a good question. and We don't know if she's in favor or not. Usually only if
Oh.
you're in favor, you would sign
Right.
something.
Right.
Hey,
Kim,
Dave,
can you hear me?
Yes.
Can we leave the papers? I'll probably be around about 4:30. Is that possible or no?
Well, I have
No,
to have
she's,
everything posted before the end of the day.
Oh,
Dave,
yeah.
Dave, how about if when I go down,
Yes.
I'll make sure you have them signed. I'll sign them, and then how about if I drive them up to your house and leave them on your doorstep, and you can sign them, and I'll bring them back down.
Yeah, or that'll work. Be glad to do that, or I'll give you permission right now, seeing I'm in favor of everything on it. If you can sign my name, initial it, that'd be fine with me too.
Yeah, you can
Whatever way
do
wanna
that
do
as
it.
an alternate, or anybody could sign with the initial, just because we have it, Dave approving it tonight.
Right. How's
And
that work? Is that okay, Kim?
I think that'll be fine.
Okay,
And I'll
Okay.
do the same thing, so.
okay. Okay.
So
Brian, who do
Brian,
you
you're,
want to
Brian,
appoint?
you're starting it off with the signatures, it sounds like, and then Susan's gonna take care of it from there.
Yeah, hey, Brian, why don't you be you and Rolly, and I'll be Dave and myself?
You mean the usual?
Yeah, that's right, usual.
Can my wife do it? She signs everything else for me.
For many years, I used to laugh and say, if my husband actually signed something and I took it in the bank and they look at it, they go, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
There's a common happening there. Okay.
After 50 years Saturday, that should be a given, shouldn't it?
Oh, 50. All right. Congratulations.
Yeah. Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
She put up with this thing for 50 years. That's amazing.
Yeah.
She's a saint.
That's a, I was just gonna say, she's stubborn.
If this was a government, you'd be getting a Purple Heart.
Thank you.
At least somewhere nearby, yeah.
That's right. Okay, what else do we need, Ron?
Okay, so we need a motion on the bond resolution. So I got up on the screen, which I think you can see if you're on the
Yeah.
resolution of necessity for public improvement project is required as part of our bond application materials, which if we do decide to go through the bonding, would be submitted to the state Vermont Bond Bank in May, I think, for a summer bond award.
Yep, for bonds. Yep.
Or we can get this all done tonight, and then you can still change your mind to do a commercial bank with the same documents. So it's really just an option for bonding if you want to go there. The $275,000 is on the light side for bonding.
Bonds, yeah.
Yeah, typically those are 20, 30-year bonds for 2.5 million kind of stuff. In this case, it's probably more on the commercial loan side than a bond side, but we have some time to figure this, figure it out. We just need to have this resolution done and then the voter approval. And then just like with the other question we had, it gives you the option to finally, make the decision down the road. So if everybody's had a chance to read this, it's a one pager basically saying that you need to borrow because you don't have the cash available and it's for public purposes. And the amount borrowed may be reduced by federal grant aids or other financial resources before you actually take the bond out.
Yeah, so again, this is just creating an option for it. We don't have to do it. So do we want to go ahead and do this now, or?
So I move we accept the resolution of necessity for public and improvement project as written.
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? We're good. Okay,
That's the third document that's just
Yep.
inside the office door. Kim saw where they were, so she'll be able to know when those are complete. But I think for Kim's purposes, if all of the signing can be done by noon, that will give her the
Yep.
afternoon to finish
Yep.
up her posting.
well, nope, that's no problem. Brian's gonna be there at 9. I'll come down a little bit after. The two of us will do the 4 signatures and we'll be all set.
Perfect.
What else you think we can sign them up for, Brian?
I bet we can find something.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, Kim, put your thinking hat on. We'll get these two into trouble.
I think you'll find
Okay.
some of those things on the warning looking for positions to be filled, and you can do an
yeah,
application
yeah.
right there.
So, okay, it's a couple of new listers. Okay, I think that take care of everything, Ron?
Yeah, I just got a text from Chastity. So can you give me 1 second?
Yep.
Just want to see what's going on.
3. Go, girl. Ooh, go, girl.
All right. All right. I don't know. She's not talking right now, but looks like she missed an email or two. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'll talk to her after you guys are done. I think that's going back to the agenda. I think
that's it, right?
yeah, I just want to make a note that and Susan already did with the new guidance for the US Treasury. Hopefully that makes the use of the ARPA money easier, but there's still a little more research to do. So we'll come back with that at maybe after town meeting day.
Yeah, I'd say after town meeting. Ron has found some towns are starting to come up with some good ways to sort of list all their projects and if it's possible and just a variety of things. So again, I think this is one of those things, putting a little planning in, getting some good input. It'll be, and I think pretty soon, once it's finalized, I expect different organizations will start asking for money. Okay, I guess if that's it, everybody all set? Matt, got anything else you want to add? More questions?
Nope.
Okay. A motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we got a second? Good girl.
Second.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Take
Thank
care
you
of
all very
yourself,
much.
Dave.
Yeah, right. Feel better.